I never thought I'd be the kind of guy to write something like this, but here I am trying to get this off my chest. Maybe someone out there will read it and see the warning signs I totally missed. Maybe it'll help someone else spot the red flags before it's too late. It all started last summer. Everything was perfect, or so I thought. My Emma and I had been together for 3 years. We had plans, dreams, a little apartment downtown that we loved. She was the kind of woman everyone admired, smart, funny, kind of fiery when she wanted to be. I trusted her with everything. Hell, I even trusted her with my life, or so I thought. Looking back now, I see the cracks. Little things. She'd get unusually defensive when I brought up her phone, hide her texts, or suddenly change the subject. Small stuff, nothing I thought was worth worrying about. We were busy with wedding plans, and I guess I was just happy to have her. That's what made her betrayal hit so hard. It was a Tuesday afternoon when I finally saw the evidence. I was cleaning out some old boxes in the closet, trying to make space for wedding stuff, and I found a crumpled piece of paper shoved behind a stack of old magazines. Out of curiosity, I unfolded it. It was a receipt, one from a hotel downtown, paid for with her credit card. The date, the night before our engagement party. My stomach dropped. I felt a cold sweat break out at the back of my neck. I looked at the receipt more closely. The hotel was just a couple of blocks from her best friend Lisa's place. That's when the alarm bells started ringing. Lisa was Emma's closest friend, her confidant, her partner in crime. I'd met Lisa once or twice. Nice girl, but a little too eager to join Emma in everything. I decided to do some digging. I pulled up her credit card statements from last summer. Every few weeks there was a charge at that hotel, sometimes just for an hour, sometimes overnight. I started connecting the dots. Emma had been sneaking around, and she was with someone else. Someone I trusted, someone I'd never suspected. One night I followed her, not in a creepy way, but I wanted to see if she'd slip up. It was late, around 10 p.m., and I watched her leave our apartment with her purse. She looked nervous, like she was sneaking out. I trailed behind her at a safe distance, heart pounding against my ribs. She went straight to Lisa's place, knocked twice, then disappeared inside. When she returned an hour later, she was tense, her face pale. She tried to hide her phone as she slipped inside. That's when I knew. The truth had been right in front of me all along. She'd been lying about everything. The wedding, her feelings, her entire life. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. I couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. Every time I thought about it, my palms turned cold and clammy. The worst part, I loved her, I still do, but I couldn't ignore what I'd found. The lies, the betrayal, they had torn something apart inside me. I wanted to confront her, but I knew I needed a plan first. I couldn't just burst in and accuse her without proof. That would blow everything up in my face. So I started gathering evidence. Screen recordings of hotel charges, copies of the receipts, her suspicious texts. I kept it all in a little folder. On my laptop, I wanted her to know I wasn't just some naive guy who missed the signs. I was watching, I was prepared, and I was furious. The thing is, with all these revelations, I realized I'd been blind. I'd ignored the signs, told myself she was just stressed or busy. But the truth was, she'd been hiding something big. And now I could feel the rage simmering just beneath the surface. I had to decide what to do next. What makes all this worse? Emma's been lying to me for months. She's been pretending everything's fine, acting like she still loves me while all this was happening behind my back. I feel like a fool, honestly, but I'm done being played. I've got a plan now. I know what I want to do. If she thinks she can lie her way out of this, she's dead wrong. But I'll save that for later. For now, I just wanted to get this off my chest. If you're reading this and see signs I missed, trust me, pay attention. The truth has a way of sneaking out, no matter how much someone tries to hide it. After I'd collected enough evidence to make myself sick, I knew I needed to sit down and think everything through. I wasn't going to rush this. I've always believed that revenge, if it's worth doing, has to be precise, cold, and deliberate. I couldn't just lash out impulsively, no matter how much I wanted to scream at her or throw her stuff out the window. That would be too easy, too obvious. I had to come up with a plan that would hit her where it hurt, but also make her understand she'd been caught red-handed. I remember sitting on the edge of our bed, staring at my laptop, feeling that familiar tightness in my chest. My palms were slick with sweat, and every nerve in my body was on high alert. I kept replaying what I saw: Emma sneaking out, her anxious face, her hurried texts. It was like a sick, slow-motion movie I couldn't turn off. I had to do something. I couldn't just keep quiet, not after all that lying. I decided I'd confront her, but not right away. I wanted her to feel the weight of what I knew first. I needed her to believe I was smarter than her, that I knew everything. Then when she was vulnerable, I'd strike. Over the next few days, I set up my plan. I bought a small voice recorder and a hidden camera. Nothing obvious, just discreet stuff I could plant in my apartment. I wanted her to think I was clueless, to keep her from running or covering her tracks. I also reached out to Lisa, her best friend, under the guise of asking for a coffee meetup. I needed to see how much Lisa knew, if she was involved, or if she was just as blind. One night I laced a few hours worth of footage from the hidden camera into a folder. I played it on my laptop, watching her visit Lisa's apartment again. The way she looked around, trying to hide her face, made my stomach turn. I saw her laugh, kiss Lisa's husband, Joey, a guy I'd met once or twice, and then slip out as if she was sneaking past guards. I knew I had her. That was the moment I decided to finally call her out. I told her I had some questions, that I'd been suspicious. She looked surprised, like she thought she'd gotten away with everything. Her face went pale when I played the recordings. I could see her trembling, her hands clutching her purse. "Emma," I said, voice low but steady, "I know everything. The hotel receipts, your secret meetings. Don't bother denying it. I've got the proof right here." She stared at the screen, then at me, eyes wide with panic. "You don't understand. It's not what you think," she whispered, voice trembling. "Oh, I think I understand perfectly," I shot back. "You fucked her, didn't you?" "Her best friend's husband, that's what I saw. While I was planning our wedding, you were busy sneaking around, lying every step of the way." She sank onto the couch, her face streaked with tears. "It was a mistake. I was stupid. I didn't mean for it to get this far." I clenched my fists. The betrayal was like a blow to my gut. I'd loved her. I'd built a future with her. And all the while she'd been screwing around behind my back. I knew I had to do something unforgettable. That's when I revealed my plan for revenge. I told her I was done with her lies. I told her I was going to expose her to everyone, her friends, her family, the world if I had to. But I also had something else in mind. Something that would make her regret ever crossing me. She begged, cried, tried to justify herself. But I wasn't listening anymore. I'd already made up my mind. I told her I'd give her one last chance, to come clean, to tell her side, if she was even capable of honesty at this point. But I warned her, if she lied again or tried to deny everything, I'd ruin her. I'd make sure everyone knew what she'd done. She looked defeated, exhausted. Maybe she realized she'd lost everything already, or maybe she thought I wouldn't go through with it, but I knew better. I had my plan and I was going to execute it. It was brutal but fair. She deserved it. For the next few days, I stayed quiet, waiting for the perfect moment. I kept collecting more evidence, more damning details. I was ready to make her see that I wasn't just some naive guy who loved her blindly. I was someone who'd fought back from the depths of betrayal, and I was going to make sure she paid. The worst part, deep down, I still loved her. That's what made this so complicated. But love doesn't make lies fade away. Love doesn't erase betrayal. Now I was ready to show her what that really meant. The day I finally decided to move forward with my plan, I could feel my pulse pounding in my ears. It was like adrenaline had become my bloodstream. I had everything laid out: screenshots of hotel charges, the recordings from the hidden camera, the receipts, all neatly organized in a folder on my laptop. The plan was simple but brutal: confront her with the truth, make her face her betrayal, and then reveal my move. That evening I cooked dinner, not because I wanted to, but because I needed her to think I was normal, that I was still the same guy she'd loved. I kept my face calm, my voice even, but inside I was a storm waiting to break loose. When she finally came home, I saw the flicker of nervousness in her eyes. She avoided my gaze, but I didn't give her a chance to escape. As she sat down hesitantly at the table, I slid my laptop across to her. "Emma," I said quietly but with steel in my voice, "there's something I need you to see." She looked at the screen, eyes narrowing. I pressed play on the videos and showed her visits to Lisa's apartment, the intimate moments she'd tried to hide, the way she'd been sneaking around behind my back. Her face went ghostly pale, her hands trembling as she watched herself on the screen. The room filled with a tense silence broken only by her shaky breathing. "Is this true?" I asked, voice hoarse. "Did you really do all this?" She looked away, eyes filled with regret but also fear. I didn't mean for it to go this far. It was a mistake. I was stupid." I stood up, feeling every muscle tense. "No, Emma, it's not just a mistake. It's a betrayal, not just of me, but of everything we were supposed to build together." I paused, trying to keep my voice steady. "You've lied to me for months. You've been sneaking around, making a fool of me. And now I want to know why." She broke down then, tears streaming down her face. "I didn't want to hurt you. It was a stupid moment. I thought I could fix it, I swear. I didn't think you'd find out." I clenched my fists so hard my nails dug into my palms. "You think you can just apologize and erase what you've done? Do you even understand how badly you've broken me?" Her sobs filled the room, but I didn't step closer. I was already planning my next move. I told her I had a plan, something she didn't expect, that she'd be surprised at how I was going to handle this. She begged for forgiveness, but I knew betrayal like this doesn't get forgiven that easily. I told her, "You have one chance to be honest right now. I want the truth, everything. No more lies, because if I find out you're hiding anything else, I swear I'll make sure everyone knows what kind of person you really are." My voice was cold, but I felt the heat of anger burning inside. She looked at me, eyes red and swollen, then nodded. "Okay," she whispered, "I'll tell you everything." That's when I revealed my entire revenge plan. How I was going to expose her, how I was going to make her regret all the nights she'd spent lying to me. I told her I'd release everything online if she tried to deny or spin her way out of it. I had already recorded her, and now I had her cornered. No more hiding. She looked defeated, defeated enough to accept her fate. I saw a flicker of something in her eyes, fear, remorse, maybe even a tiny spark of realization that I wasn't the fool she thought I was. My stomach twisted with a strange mixture of satisfaction and pain. I loved her, yes, but I hated her for what she'd done. Before I left her alone that night, I handed her a small, sealed envelope. "This is your last chance," I said. "Come clean to everyone or I will. The choice is yours." She took it, trembling, and nodded. I knew I'd pushed her to her limit, and I also knew I couldn't keep pretending everything was okay anymore. It was time to execute my plan step by step. I was done being the betrayed husband. Now I was about to become something else entirely. As I walked out that door, I felt a strange calm settle over me. I'd taken the first step, and there was no turning back. The wheels were in motion now. Emma's lies had come crashing down, and I was prepared for the fallout. The next phase was coming, and I was ready to see how she'd handle the truth when it hit her hard. The next morning, the air in the apartment felt thick, heavy with the weight of what I had set in motion. I'd gone through her things the night before, just enough to find the last pieces of evidence I needed to make her realize how thoroughly I'd planned this. She was still asleep when I slipped out early, leaving her to wake up to the chaos I'd created. I had to be methodical. First, I printed out all the evidence, screenshots, receipts, her shaky confession. I wanted her to see it all laid out in black and white before I confronted her again. I knew she'd be panicked, but I didn't care. I wanted her to feel cornered, vulnerable, just like she'd made me feel for months. The plan was simple but effective. I set up a few things around the apartment, hidden cameras, voice recorders, and I left her a note. It read, "Do not try to hide or deny. Everything is recorded. You have a choice, come clean or be exposed." I left the evidence in a folder on the kitchen table where she'd see it when she woke. I wanted her mind to race, her conscience to gnaw at her. When she finally woke up, I watched her from a distance, hidden behind a closed door. Her eyes darted around the room, then landed on the folder. Her hand trembled as she reached for it, flipping through the pages. Her face went pale, then red, and her hands shook so much I saw her struggle to hold the papers steady. She sat down heavily, clutching her head. I could see the panic starting to set in. I stepped into the room, quiet but firm. "You saw it," I said calmly. "All the proof. You lied, Emma. You lied for months, and now you're finally caught." She looked up at me, eyes filled with tears. "Please, I didn't mean for it to get this messy. I didn't want to lose everything. I thought. I could fix it, that I could make it right. I crossed my arms, feeling my jaw tighten. You thought lying and sneaking around was fixing anything. You're lucky I didn't lose my mind last night. Instead, I decided to take control. Her voice broke. What do you want from me? I looked her straight in the eye, feeling my fists clench. I want you to realize what you did, and I want you to understand that this isn't just about betrayal. It's about respect, or rather, the lack of it. You took my trust, threw it out the window, and thought you could just pick up the pieces. Well, I'm about to show you what happens when you push someone too far. She begged me to forgive her, to give her another chance. I let her plead, but I knew I wasn't going to let her off that easy. I'd already planned the next step. I told her I'd give her a choice, confess everything to her friends, her family, everyone who needed to know, or I'd do it for her. I handed her the envelope I prepared, her last chance to come clean before I made. Her secret's public. Her face twisted with guilt, but I saw something else, resignation. She knew I had her cornered. No matter how much she begged, I could see the realization dawning that I wasn't just some naive husband anymore. I was someone who'd fought to get back what was mine, and I was going to make sure she paid for her betrayal. I left her alone after that, knowing I'd given her enough time to think. I had my next move ready, and I wasn't planning to wait long. The wheels were turning, and I was about to press down hard. Emma's carefully constructed world was about to come crashing, and I didn't care if it broke her. I just wanted her to understand what she'd lost. As I walked out of the apartment, the cool air hit my face, and I felt a strange sense of clarity. This wasn't just revenge. It was justice. And I was finally taking control of my life again, whether she liked it or not. The truth was out. She was no longer in control. And I was just getting started. I waited a few hours after I left her alone to let her sit with the reality of what was happening. I knew she'd be trying to figure out her next move, maybe panicking, maybe desperately praying I'd change my mind. The truth is, I wasn't planning on giving her that chance anymore. My mind was made up. I was going through with the final phase of my plan. I sat in my car, watching her apartment from a distance. My stomach was knotting up, but I forced myself to stay calm. I had everything ready. I was going to do this at exactly the right moment. No impulsiveness, no mistakes. The weight of what I was about to do pressed on me, but I knew it was necessary. She needed to see the full extent of her betrayal, and I needed her to feel the consequences. I didn't want her to think I was just blowing off steam or seeking petty revenge. No. This was about making her understand she'd crossed a line she could never uncross. I had to make her see that lying and cheating don't just get buried. They have to be dealt with head-on. Finally, I saw her emerge from the apartment. She looked disheveled, eyes red, clutching a tissue in one hand. She glanced around nervously, probably wondering if I'd come back or if I'd already made my move. I waited until she got into her car, then I texted her, "Come to the park, need to talk, no games." She responded almost immediately, trying to sound casual. "What's going on? I'm busy. Just come, please." About 15 minutes later, she pulled up to the park, looking anxious. I was already sitting on the bench, the folder of evidence tucked into my coat pocket. She hesitated for a second, then finally came over, her face showing a mix of fear and resignation. "You think you can just walk away from this?" I asked, voice low but steady. "You think I'm going to let you get away with it?" Her eyes darted around, avoiding my gaze. "I don't know what you want from me anymore." I pulled out the folder and slammed it onto the bench between us. "This. Everything you've been hiding, every lie, every secret affair. I want you to see what you've done." Her hands shook as she opened it, eyes scanning the pages. Her breath caught as she recognized the evidence: receipts, recordings, screenshots. Her face crumpled and she looked like she might cry again. I leaned in. "You see, Emma, I've been patient. I gave you chances to come clean, to fix this, but you chose to keep lying. So now I'm doing what you should have done from the start. I'm exposing you, not just to me, everyone." She looked at me, tears streaming down her face. "Please, I can't lose everything." "You already did," I said coldly. "You lost my trust, the respect we once had, and now I'm going to make sure everyone knows why. You're not the innocent little girl anymore. You're just a cheater, a liar, and someone who's willing to throw away everything just for a moment of stupid pleasure." Her voice cracked. "You're going to ruin me." I shrugged. "If that's what it takes, you're damn right I am. I'll post everything online. I'll call your friends, your family. They'll hear the truth because you thought you could get away with it. You thought I wouldn't find out, but I did. She looked broken, the kind of broken that only comes after realizing you've lost everything. That's when I knew. I'd made the right decision. No more hiding, no more pretending. This was the end of her lies and the start of my revenge. I reached into my pocket, pulled out the envelope I'd prepared, and handed it to her. Here, your last chance. Come clean now or I'll do it for you. She looked at it, trembling. Then she nodded weakly. I'll tell the truth. That's when I got up and walked away. No dramatic shouting, no grand speeches, just a simple, decisive act. I left her sitting there, clutching the envelope, a shell of the woman she'd been. As I drove away, I felt a surge of relief mixed with emptiness. I'd finally exposed her, and I'd done what I set out to do. Whatever fallout came next, I was ready. Because at the end of the day, I knew this. Honesty, even brutal honesty, is the only way to get closure. And now I had mine. In the days that followed, everything changed in a way I couldn't have predicted. I handed her the envelope, watching her face crumple as she finally, truly, faced the truth she'd been avoiding for months. She called her family, her friends, and started revealing everything: her betrayal, her lies, the mess she'd created. I stayed quiet, letting her own words do the damage. I knew she was trying to save what little pride she had left, yet it was too late. The damage was done and the truth was out. Her reputation, her relationships, even her sense of normalcy, everything was crumbling. I saw it in her eyes when she finally admitted to her cheating, tears streaking her cheeks, voice trembling with regret and guilt. I didn't feel victorious exactly. I felt hollow, like a part of me had been ripped out and left bleeding. I moved out of the apartment a few days later, handing over the keys to her as I walked away for good. I didn't want to see her, didn't want to be near her anymore. It was over. My trust was shattered beyond repair, and I knew I had to rebuild myself from the ground up. The cold truth is, I don't regret what I did, at least not entirely. She cheated, lied, and manipulated my feelings for her own selfish pleasure. She betrayed everything we had. I refused to be her doormat, to let her walk all over me. That's why I took control, why I exposed her. Sometimes justice means walking away and leaving the chaos behind. Now I'm focusing on myself. I've cut out every one of her lies and started reconnecting with friends I'd neglected. It's not easy. There's a void where her presence used to be. But I realize the most important thing I learned from all this: respect starts with yourself. You can't let someone else define your worth. If they betray it, you have to stand up and reclaim it, no matter how painful. Looking back, I see all the early warning signs I brushed off, little things that should tip me off. But I was blinded by love, by hope, by the idea that she was the woman I was supposed to spend my life with. That was my mistake. If I could tell anyone out there anything, it'd be this: don't ignore the red flags, trust your gut, and don't let someone else's lies pull you under. I don't regret the revenge. It wasn't about just hurting her. It was about getting my closure, my justice. I had to prove to myself that I wasn't powerless, that I could take control of the chaos. And I did. I forced her to face what she'd been trying to hide, and I made her understand that there are consequences to betrayal. Most of all, I've learned that even after the worst betrayal, there's a way to start over. I'm healing slowly but surely. Maybe someday I'll forget the pain, but for now, I know I'm stronger than I was a month ago. The trust was broken, sure, but I'm rebuilding my self-respect, one honest step at a time. So if you're out there in the same boat, hurt, betrayed, feeling lost, I'll tell you this: you don't have to stay stuck in the mess. Sometimes the only way forward is to face the truth, take back your power, and walk away. It's painful, but it's necessary. Because in the end, your happiness and respect are what matter most. Don't let anyone strip that from you.